Hi, my name is Sean from Animorph, and I'm here to show you how to use your Line 6 Pod Go as a way of using a direct input signal audio interface, as well as using the Reamp feature that's built onto the unit in Reaper as your digital audio workstation. Now, firstly, we want to make sure that you install two things from the Line 6 website, and that is the PodGo Edit software and the Line 6 PodGo drivers. So the PodGo Edit software will look something like this, where you have your factory user and impulse settings on the left, and all of your pedals and amp sims and cab sims here, and you can edit all that stuff and save it and so on and so forth. And I'll show you why here in a moment, why that's important for this phase. So we're going to go back to Reaper, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that our PodGo is set to our default audio device. The way we're going to do this is we're either going to use the shortcut of Control and P, or we're going to go up to Options, Preferences at the bottom of the menu. Wait a moment. And it should default to your device settings. If it does not, if you're starting at General, work your way down to Audio, Device. Make sure your audio system is set to ASIO, and make sure your ASIO driver is set to the ASIO PodGo driver that you installed from the Line 6 website. Now, when you first start, it may have it set up by default as inputs 1 through 2 and in output range 1 through 2. Now, I say through because the way Reaper works is that it's set it as a range. A range is not one and another, it is one through another. So instead of 1 through 2, we're going to set it to 1 through 4. And that is going to be on both the input and the output settings. So we're going to have inputs 1 through 4 and outputs 1 through 4. And I'll show you why that's important in a moment. We're going to select OK, and then we're going to go ahead and create 2 new tracks. The way you create 2 new tracks is you can hit Control-T, or you can go to the top menu, Track, Insert New Track. So we're going to insert new track, or we can hit Control-T to add another track. And we're going to go ahead and name the first track DI1. It doesn't matter what you call this. You can call these anything you want, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to call them DI1 and Reamp. Now, so for DI1, we're going to go ahead down to our routing settings in our mixer console, which is either going to be something that you have docked already the way I do, or if you don't have it docked, you can hit Control-M to pull up your mixing console. So now we're going to go up to DI1, and you're going to find this menu in the routing setting, and you're going to go ahead and hit Audio Outware Outputs and set that to outputs 3 and 4. Now this output setting will not show up if you didn't do the previous step of setting your PodGo to your default audio device. So we've set that to output 3 and 4, and we can go ahead and close this. Now we want to go to Reamp, and we want to go ahead and hit that record button and make sure that this is either set to input 1 or stereo inputs 1 and 2. Now the differences between these two are going to be somewhat important depending on the FX setups that you have. So on our DI, we're going to go ahead and switch this back to mono input 3, or if you're planning on using stereo as your setup for your guitar sound, you want to go to input stereo, inputs 3 and 4. Inputs 3 and 4 on your PodGo is your dry guitar signal, and inputs 1 and 2 is your processed guitar signal. So with our DI track, since we only want to record the clean guitar sound, we want to make sure it is either set to input 3 and 4. Now I would default to input 3 because it is the default mono track. The same with as input 1 is your default mono track. If you are setting up for delays that work in a stereo system, you might want to go ahead and record stereo as 3 and 4, and then when you go to the Reamp phase, you want to make sure that your input is set to stereo 1 and 2, if that makes sense. So now we're on input 3. We want to go ahead and we're just going to record something simple like this. So now we have that. So if we play this back, since we have the master send still set up on our DI1 track here, we should be able to hear just the dry guitar signal on that track. Excellent. So now we want to reamp this and we want to get a more distorted guitar sound the same way that we had it when we recorded it. So for this, what we want to do is we want to double check. We have set this to output 3 and 4. And then we want to go back to our Pod Go Edit software. And we want to go to where this guitar circle is right here. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And so we can see that we have 2 input options right here. One is guitar. That is going to be the instrument that you have plugged into your instrument input on your Pod Go. Now there is USB 3 and 4. USB 3 and 4 is the output settings that we set up in our digital audio workstation just a moment ago. So now, if we were to play this track with that setting enabled and our reamp track set to input 1 or stereo inputs 1 and 2 enabled, if we hit play on this, we should be able to hear the processed guitar track based on that clean track. Excellent, we can hear it. So our clean track is interfering with our sound. So now we can go up here, we can disable our master send on our DI track right here. And now we should only hear the recorded processed guitar track. Excellent. So now if we hit record on just this track, we will be recording the process signal on the dry track that we have sent to this track. Excellent. So now, if we solo this and we play it back, we should just hear that guitar track. Awesome. So there's a couple of other cool things you can do here. So if you wanted to do something special with this, what you could do is you can even tweak settings in your Line 6 Pod Go editor live while that thing is recording. So, for example, if I wanted to go ahead and add a phaser halfway through that track, what I could do is I can go ahead and press record on my reamp track, pull up my editor, and now when we play that back, we should be able to hear the phaser come in and leave the way we just recorded it. So that's how you can make live alternations of effects on your DI track without having to play the actual sound again. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Have a good day.